Hey everyone. Um, in this video, I'm going to sort of interview or talk to a fellow teacher, and we're gonna talk about something that she is offering, which is a course that uses Brazilian movies in order to teach. And I will leave some information down in the description, prices and dates, and how to enroll. And yeah, if you think this is a nice thing for you, then please enroll. And it should be fun and interesting, and it should help you acquire vocabulary and a little bit of grammar, stuff like that. So now I'll leave you with our conversation. See ya. Olá,
Oi, tudo bem?
tudo certo? Então, você pode se apresentar um pouco, Camila? A gente vai conversar sobre algumas coisas hoje, né? Gostaria que você se apresentasse primeiro.
Sim, eu esqueci de te perguntar. Conversa então em português.
I don't know. Do you want to speak English? Because the students that are gonna be interested in this
I don't know.
do
It's
speak
up.
English
It's up to
mostly.
you. It's up to you.
We can speak English.
Maybe
Yeah.
in English. Maybe in English. All right.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. All
definitely.
right. Okay. Cool. So thank you for this opportunity, Jackson. Thank you for inviting me to be here today with you. I'm very excited and even a bit nervous, as you see. So I am Camila, and I am a professional Portuguese teacher. I have been teaching Portuguese for over 8 years now. I teach in the same platform that Jackson, that you teach.
Mhm.
And I am from Minas Gerais. I'm from Belo Horizonte. Although I don't think I have an accent from Minas Gerais anymore. I don't know if that happened to you, but like over time, people started asking me, "Where are you from?" Because I think we
Mhm.
have to kind of slow down, enunciate words. And here in Minas Gerais, we tend to say them all at once. That sometimes people
Yeah.
they ask me, "Where are you from? Are you from here?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, yeah, I'm from here." But I've learned how to
Mhm.
speak, I guess.
You do have the words of the Mineiro
You
sometimes,
do,
like you said,
right?
why today? Why?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Because I was talking to a Brazilian,
Hmm.
and with time. But if I spend an entire day teaching, I think my Portuguese is a bit is a bit different, and I
So
am
is
more
mine.
polite. I am all please, thank you, excuse me, because
Yeah.
foreigners they tend to be very, very polite. I mean, we are polite,
Yeah.
but you know, what am I to
I get
say?
it. Some of my students, sometimes they're like teaching, and then somebody knocks the door, and then you talk to them like your family or something, and then you speak a little differently. So
Hmm.
my students in the past have noticed that, oh, with me, you talk a certain way, and then with your family,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. Yeah, because I'm being less teacherish with
Yeah,
them.
teacherish. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's for now what I could say about myself.
That's a good introduction,
Thank you.
on the Mineiro soul. Um, but anyway, we're here because actually you're doing something about teaching Portuguese as well, right? That
Mhm.
I think is really interesting, and I think that it's actually something that my students lack in me or in interactions with me because I do not have that cultural background sometimes, I think, or that
Mm.
movie thing or that Brazilian culture thing in my lessons, at least, right? I
Mm.
am Brazilian anyway, but I may not bring those components into the lessons themselves.
Mm.
So, so I'd like you now to say, what is it that you're doing or that you have been doing over the past few months and years?
Yeah. Well, before I go there, I do think you bring components. I have watched your channel, and I think there are many ways of bringing like Brazilian components to our classes.
True.
Yeah. So for example, I don't know how you approach this, but I remember a student of mine. She came to Brazil to live here, and well, I don't know how it is in your state, but here sometimes we are. Do you drink alcohol?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So, do you eat meat? Do you go to barbecues and things too?
Sure.
Sure, right.
The
So
whole
sometimes,
package.
I get. So sometimes you, we are like in a barbecue and we are like drinking and listening to music and talking, and we're like, we should do this again next week. And everyone says, yeah, let's do it again. And then my student thought that just because they said it, that they were going to do, they were going to do actually, because she thought, well, they said they were doing again next weekend. But then she got there and no barbecue at the person's house. But then I had
Oh
to
yeah.
taught her that if we don't make a movement like throughout the week, it's not going to happen, because sometimes like in the heat of the moment we have a lot of ideas. Let's do this, let's travel, let's not. But then you need to, hey, are we still going? Are we still, is this happening? So that's a cultural thing that sometimes I bet you have to teach too, or me, or that comes like for interactions with Brazilians and other contexts as well.
Yeah, I think that I do teach culture in terms of like they get to know me a lot during our lessons, so inevitably they're gonna know what Brazilian people are like because there's me, there's my family, there's my friends,
Yeah,
and there's the mainstream culture and things happening and elections and this and
exactly.
that and Brazil and whatever. Everything is going on, and I am inside of all of this, so therefore, of course. I guess that what I mean by culture is more like movies and music,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, something like more
Yeah,
specific. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, so I have been doing that for the past 3 years and a half. Um, so I started because I mean, I love movies. Who doesn't? Do you? I think everyone
Not
likes.
as much as you, apparently.
Oh, all right. Or maybe TV
No,
shows. Like, I mean, I think
yeah,
we love distractions from work, sabe, you know? Like, for example, the feeling that we are doing something productive, be it like, I don't know, listening to music or playing a sport or watching something. So I
yeah.
thought, so the idea came from like this, how could I, no, not exactly. I got a bit frustrated from listening to students saying that they were watching Friends doubled, correct me.
Dubbed,
Dubbed,
dubbed.
dubbed. Yeah, thank you. Dubbed. So they were watching Friends dubbed. And then or they would tell me Titanic dubbed, or
Uh-huh.
American movies or
I
American
get
TV
it.
shows. And then I was like, but have you ever heard of Brazil Central Station? That's or Central do Brasil. Have you
Right.
ever heard of this movie? And they would tell me, oh no, do Brazilian have like movies? Brazilians, do you product? And then I was like, yeah. And even among us Brazilians, we don't think we have like a national, help me here, help me out, cinema, movies. Uh,
Yeah.
we don't watch as many Brazilians movies, maybe because we don't think that there are that many good movies, and
Hmm.
there are amazing Brazilian movies. But maybe most of Brazilians we prefer like Hollywood and things like that, or foreigners movies.
Yeah.
But then so after that, and trying to motivate students to do something more immersive, I thought, hey, maybe I could recommend a movie they could watch and we could come once a month and casually like discuss. But over time, I was like watching the dynamics, because it's different. Teaching one-on-one is entirely different from teaching groups. It's another thing, especially when we are dealing with movies that are somewhat sometimes political, and people could get like they could have strong opinions. So you have sort
Yeah.
of like to mediate that because you don't want anyone getting offended or offending someone. And then over time, I had to learn some skills, study, and prepare more, create like scripts for the discussion. So over time, it evolved to something else. So now, at 3 years
Hmm.
later, I have a course, a 10-week course, or sometimes 5 or 7 week course. There are weeks very immersive, but I don't think I'm answering your question. I'm overstepping. So when you asked me.
Um, I think you have not answered the very describe what describe what you're doing in 2 sentences now. Go.
Thank you. Go. Um, how do I say in English? A side note. Yes, a side note. Can you believe that once I had a student who would time me? He would say that exactly. So he would come to lessons and he would say, I have 30 questions. We have 60 minutes. You have 2 minutes per question. Time. Go. And
That's
then
me. Yeah.
and then they were like, what is the difference between pretérito perfeito and imperfeito? 2 minutes. And then I would try, but I would get desperate as the time was ending. And then anyway, I had to recommend that student to someone else because I was getting, so I'll go now. Sorry.
Right.
um, so what is it that I do in the movie club? That's the question.
Um, no, no, but I think that you were actually getting into the actual thing, which is it may be a 5 week course or a 10 week course,
Yeah.
uh, where you use movies, Brazilian movies. Yeah, just
Yeah.
you were going there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going there. So when we watch movies, we have images and we have language. So when we have those things linked together, I think that reinforce meaning.
Hmm.
So it helps the students with so many things, like understanding the way we actually talk that is different from a lesson, allows them to get access to words that they wouldn't otherwise. So for example, like in uh, a class is limited, is very necessary, 101. But sometimes I remember that when I was learning Spanish before going to Peru, I discussed so many political and important matters, like, but I wouldn't know how to say fork and knife.
Hmm.
I wouldn't know like basic things of like the daily language that movie allows
Hmm.
us to access.
Hmm.
So um, the the rhythm that is different. So people they get in touch with culture, tradition, and slangs, expressions, and other
Yeah.
Brazils that there are,
Hmm.
because unfortunately, I don't know about your students, but mine, they are very limited to São Paulo and Rio. It's like Brazil,
Hmm.
where São Paulo and Rio. And when they watch movies about
Hmm.
other states, they learn more, they learn the culture. And by learning the culture and getting interested in the history and other social economic aspects of Brazil, they are more motivated even to go through the plateau that most students they tend to get frustrated and leave, abandon. But as they are engaged with all of this, feeling like a community, getting access to information, for example, in northeast of Brazil, Cangaço, it's something that most foreigners don't know. They have no idea about what cangaço is. But
Hmm.
when they watch Alto da Compadecida, Lisbela e o Prisioneiro, and um, O Matador and other movies, they feel like special that they know that information, like because knowledge is
Hmm.
power. They feel like, oh, I am a part of this, I am a part of society,
Hmm.
I understand Brazilians better now. So once they feel like they are a part of it, um, they they learn better, they learn more, they don't give up. They Because Portuguese is a difficult language, especially for those who don't have any background with other like Latin romantic
Mm-hmm.
languages. It's a difficult
Mm-hmm.
language, and it's very easy for students. I don't know about yours, but speaking about mine, they learn for love. They learn to communicate with their with the family of their loved ones. But once they reach a B1, they can order food, get a Uber. They're satisfied because it's difficult to get higher. It takes persistency,
Mm-hmm.
and but also they are constantly frustrated because a B1 is not enough. Brazilians, we are very nice, we are very kind, but if you are in a barbecue with us, we won't stop to explain you. You have to, and life can be very lonely if you don't understand the language well. If you come and
Mm-hmm.
live here,
Right.
we explain, of course, Brazilians explain an expression, but you keep losing track of the conversation. We are fast, we speak fast, we have our inside jokes, we have our cultures. It's not really possible to learn that without first maybe living here. It will be the easiest way, like living here for some months, years even, or learning through movies, learning through music,
Okay.
learning through, and
I
I
see.
extended the 2 sentences, sorry. But I'm
No,
done.
no, no. This was great. This is great. I think it's your view on what you actually do.
Mhm.
And as I was talking to you, I think that it is something that my students may miss from our interactions, which is the this is what I mean by the cultural aspect. I
Mm,
guess the different Brazils and everything like that, because I do tend to focus a lot on pure linguistics,
mm,
pure Portuguese speaking, um, and then something that may lack is the actual sense of community and connection to the Brazilian culture in general.
mm.
That is, as you said, something that keeps them from abandoning, from giving up. I think I've had several students that have given up
Yeah, me
because
too.
maybe it was just us two and there was nothing beyond that. And
Mm,
maybe the beyond that includes movies and it includes culture and this kind of broad
mm,
exploration of Brazil as it is, you know. I think that would have helped
mm.
a lot.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But it's difficult to convince a student. All of my students who are part of this project, I have over 15 or maybe 20
Mhm.
now that participates like regularly. I had to kind of convince them, talk to them, tell them like how beneficial that is, because it's not
Yeah.
something that people tend to think it's good. First, most foreigners, they're shy. I don't know about your students, but most of them are like, oh, my Portuguese, it lacks confidence. Oh, is my
Hmm.
Portuguese enough to be like in a discussion with the other students or
Hmm.
with other Brazilians? Because I bring Brazilians from different regions to these meetings as well. So they most of them have never watched a movie before in Portuguese. So
Hmm.
it represents a challenge, but once they do it for the first time, they they see the value in it and then they don't leave. But first,
Hmm.
I need to tell them, sometimes show them a bit of the meeting, explain that it's going
Hmm.
to be okay, that they can do it, they can watch a movie, they that is possible, but it is not something that people tend to think. That thing I have, when once I created this project and I saw that it worked, I tried to find it in other languages that I study, and I couldn't. And then I was like, I mean, I'm not being modest, but I was like, it's such a great idea. Why
Yeah.
can I find this in Spanish or Italian or French? B- And I would suggest that to my teachers, but it requires an effort because it is
Hmm.
not that simple. To put this together, it requires an effort from teachers and students. It's not
I
a simple
understand.
thing. is not a simple thing. To watch a movie
Mm-hmm.
takes two
Mm-hmm.
hours, to prepare, to be there on a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, you could be anywhere else. It requires like commitment, but
Sure.
at first, but then it, it becomes something very valuable
It goes
and
from a commitment to something that you actually want to do
entertaining.
and that you look
Yeah,
forward to, entertaining. Yeah.
yeah. They get
And
friends,
actually,
they become friends, the students and the Brazilians, they're
right,
involved. It's a social thing. Uh, i-
right.
Last meeting, a student came this Sunday with COVID, and after his soccer team, Barcelona, which he's like in love with, lost the game, and then he came. He was a bit angry, but he came anyway. And then he was with COVID and sad, and then he was there and he had fun. And then after he thanked us for taking his mind out of that. So it's yeah,
Awesome, awesome.
yeah.
Social learning, I think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And just commenting on what you said about having to convince your students, of course. Not convincing, sometimes you tend to think that convincing is bad, right? If I'm
Yeah, no.
trying to convince, it's because it's, but that's really nice. And I see that in what I do as well.
Mm,
Also because I haven't found it anywhere else. I don't think there's other or many other people doing what I have been doing the way that I have been doing. And then it
yeah.
becomes sort of something that you have to build and you have to know how to talk about that because it's
How
coming
do you
from you.
do? You do something very interesting. How do you convince them to the transcriptions and all that you approach in your
Hmm.
YouTube?
Well, for one, by doing it myself, I think that's the most important thing. If I believe in something, then I need to be doing it myself. Um, and I should be doing actually the transcript, and I have done some transcriptions in languages that I don't speak, like like Czech or like
Oh,
Japanese.
how?
That's the point. I'm showing to them that they don't need to know anything from a language in order to do this exercise, this particular
Interesting.
exercise. It's just
Interesting.
a phonetic recognition, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, so maybe, and then, yeah, about my methodology, about the teaching thing, what I do is I record little bits, snippets of actual lessons with actual feedbacks. That's the methodology. That's what happens. That's what every one of my students can expect from any given lesson. So it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're happy with that, that is the convincing that I have for them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, convincing is not bad. It's just that I don't know. It feels like when I don't know if you feel that way about your idea that is very unique. But do you feel like it is your baby, your child,
Yeah.
and you wanted people to like it without you telling, look,
Yeah.
like my baby. Oh, look how cute my baby is. I
That's
just,
exactly it.
but
That's
it's
exactly
okay.
it. Actually, you know, Neil, the one that commented on that video,
Mm,
he has been both learning Portuguese with me, and then by learning Portuguese, learning inevitably the methodology itself, and now having his own students of English and
mm.
teaching by using this. And then he's like, whenever he
Ah,
talks to me about this, he's like, but it's your baby and I don't know how it works. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of a baby, but now it's with you and it's gonna grow with you and with your own characteristics, right?
yeah.
But it is kind of like a baby when you do something from scratch, like you drop everything you knew and then you try something else and you build up on that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
a baby.
It is. It is. Have you ever thought of like creating a course with your methodology, either teaching teachers to do it or like in a classroom, like with students doing simultaneously? I don't know how it could be done. Have you ever thought of it?
Of course, I would love that, you
Yeah.
know. But actually, I do that. I mean, on my YouTube channel. I have those. I have actually an entire lesson with Neil, an entire lesson, English lesson with my sister. And just by watching that, I guess many teachers could go like, "Oh, that's something I
Mm-hmm.
could be doing as
Mm-hmm.
well."
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that hard. It's not rocket science. It's just there are principles behind this apparently simple strategy. I think there are concepts, and
Mm-hmm.
principles that need to be respected in order for this to actually work during 1 hour or during 1 month or during 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will end up setting up a course or something at some
I
point
think you should.
when I
I
have
think you
the
should.
energy, you know.
Yes, I do know. I do know. It requires energy to put something together. Yeah,
I admire you
definitely.
for that.
You do?
Your thing is, yeah, it's you have PDFs and you have like a structure, and this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, and you're gonna receive this beforehand.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's something I
Thank
have
you.
not done.
Thank you. Thank you. But I think things they build up. They work over time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
not overnight. I remember the
Right.
first movie club that I had, like the first meeting. I'm a bit ashamed of saying that, but in order for the students to get to know one another, I I asked them to I created like a selection of questions like what is your name? uh, so they could practice this. Where are you from? How old are you? What is your favorite color? What is your favorite like day of the week? It was nothing about the movie. So we watched the movie, but we were talking about other things. So over time, as I was having the meetings, and I have had like over, I don't know, 200, 300 by now, I could see what works and what doesn't. So now we don't have like small talk anymore. We just go to business. We have breakout
Hmm.
rooms. I noticed that just asking general questions like, "Did you like the movie? What was your favorite scene?" That is good, but it doesn't work. So I create different set of questions, put them in breakout rooms, put them to analyze different parts of the movie in a way that we can analyze the entire thing in the main room. So that was like after error and how to say trial
Trial
and
and
error,
error.
trial and error,
Hmm.
a lot of error, a lot. But
Yeah,
it is still I can still see things that I can improve. That's the beauty of things, I
yeah,
guess. I'm still working on it,
exactly.
improving and trying new things. So I decided for the first time now to invite directors and actors and screenwriters and people involved. I
Yeah,
came up to them and I presented my idea because I was thinking that what if I I mean that's a very huge big thing for even to say out loud, but like dreaming big, like what if I become someone like recognized as like teaching Portuguese through culture for Brazilian movies? What if by people learning that way, like the industry of movies could like grow and Netflix would like ask for these directors for more movies and people would I
mm,
mean so I presented my dream to those directors and
mm,
they thought that it was really nice because actually if even if it's a small group, even if I have 20 students that are watching the same movie twice, three times, that creates like something in Netflix algorithm. So show something if they are recommending that movie to other people they are watching.
sure.
So the chances of like a movie getting a second part, like I'm very thankful for those directors, and I'm very thankful that they are very accessible people,
Right.
and they are participating as well. So they come and talk to my students, and I'm like, "What is this? What is life even? What is this?" So
That's so
one day,
awesome.
Celton Mello, one day he has
Yeah.
never answered. He's a very popular actor, but maybe one day I'll
Oh
have him.
yeah.
Do you know
That's gonna
Celton
blow
Mello?
your mind when so of course. Yeah.
Imagine.
Um
Yeah.
Amazing. And anything I think that you do with love and there's nobody else doing it with love, I think that it has potential.
Yeah.
Um, it's like people buy the idea of something being done with enthusiasm and love and that they believe in that. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're confident. And about the trial and error thing, yeah, I think that every lesson is an opportunity to try things that have been good and have worked in the past, but it also needs to have some room for trial, for surprise, for things that you don't know, for things that are apparently silly and you want to try. They may end up not working, but they may work surprisingly well. It's always a
Yeah. Yeah, it is
yeah.
it is good to try. I'm all about trying things,
Mhm.
experimenting things. I think
Yeah,
that's what makes like good teachers. I mean, I think it's
right.
easy to apply, like one methodology would be so easy to take like a grammar book and work it cover to
Yeah,
cover, but
yeah.
to bring those things that we try on ourselves, like I see that you have done with you and your transcription methodology, and bringing that, and that differentiates like a good teacher that it's in it for like the love of learning and teaching and like passing knowledge, and
Mm-hmm.
teachers that may be in it for the circumstances. Like I think that
Right,
COVID brought a lot of teachers to this like world. Like there are too many teachers.
right.
I mean,
I
that is
see.
good. I'm not criticizing, but there are people who are born to do things like they, and there are others. I think the best teachers, when I think back in school, college, are those who left like a seed, like that they inspired me until those
Mm-hmm.
days. So,
Of course.
but but there
Yeah, and the market is saturated. I mean,
it
we're
is.
not talking about our colleagues and our professional colleagues, that are there and working and doing their thing. I think that we're talking about people that love other things but ended up
Yeah,
in teaching now.
yeah.
I don't love other things. I love
Me
teaching
neither. Me
itself.
neither.
You
Oh,
know,
I couldn't do
I love many
anything.
other things, but I mean,
Yeah,
for a job,
I love cats. You know that there are a job like you are paid to pet cats. I think I could do
I
it.
see. I would hate that. Um,
Yeah, either teach
anyway,
or that.
yeah, one thing that I have, because on these post-its I put very important information sometimes to remind me of what's important. And one of those things is I wrote it on a post-it. Your job is to keep making fucking exercises. You need to keep coming up with exercises.
Uh-huh.
This is your job. Your job is half teaching, half innovating, half teaching with your students and have thinking about things to do. This is your actual job.
I love that.
And
I love that.
right.
Amazing, amazing, amazing,
And that's
Jackson.
what you do too.
Well, yeah, and I'm so happy that we've met.
Yeah, me too. This became something else,
Yeah,
right? It was supposed to be, so there's your PDF and your course, and now I want to be
but
in
uh,
your
but
course because
but
I
um
haven't watched many of those movies.
I'm so glad that
Yeah, me
that we are
too.
here. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
inviting me. It's been so good, this
it was a
conversation.
pleasure.
I'm getting to know you
Thank you
better,
so
and well,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that my students will really like you, and I hope that many of them will actually apply and enroll.
So
Um,
cool. So excited
yeah,
to
it
work
would
with
be
them.
amazing. Don't leave me,
No,
but
they
go
won't
to
leave
this
you. They
lady.
won't leave you. I won't accept that. I won't accept that. No.
No, if
Keep
they
having
want, if they
lessons.
want
No, no, no. Is a prerequisite. How do I say that? How can I say this?
a
To
prerequisite, maybe.
prerequisite to sign to have a package bought with Jackson to
Uh-huh.
subscribe to my course. It's
You heard that?
yeah,
Yeah. But I don't want, as
I
we
know.
were talking also, I don't worry about that. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it's just so sad that students they may stop learning with me and don't find anybody else as well. I
Yeah.
think this is more sad than if they, oh, maybe some of them may think, I don't think this is actually going to happen because I think my thing is an additional part of language that is important. I do believe in it, you know. As
Mm-hmm.
much as I believe in what you do, I believe in what I do,
Yeah.
not as counterparts, not as opposing things, but as
Yeah.
things that are together. There's the group and there's the individual and there's things that you share with groups and there's things that you talk to yourself and you need corrections and stuff like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Individual
So
lessons are very important.
yeah,
This like personalized attention where you can help them individually. Those things are not possible in a large group. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
complement
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. Anyway, Camila, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I will put some information down in the description for my students with your PDF. And
Thank you.
um, yeah, I hope they
Thank
will meet you
you.
soon.
Yeah, we will definitely. Thank you, Jackson.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Hope to see you in class soon. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Talk soon then.
bye bye.
Bye.